what we got going on today? Let's do. It's another day to build in public. I guess that's what we want to accomplish. So today we're gonna do a filament storage rack, um, which is like something have like, obviously this is like over exaggerated, like a rack that we have like this, and then maybe some stuff in here. So this is how I built my rack before, something like that, and then you put the spools on it like this. Like that sort of idea, but I think we're gonna change this to something a little bit less pronounced. Be maybe something like that, and then it's gonna have the crossbar, maybe two pipes that go between, and then the rack will sit on it like this. So I would like to have the option to do like a center hanging or something like that. So there might be more ideas, or more things on the side, so they can just be stored as filaments, or we can actually do it like that. So maybe we can even do a top piece, or like a storage sort of thing here, and one at the bottom, something like that, like a whole pan. So that would cover the side. So, whoop. Try and move your whole arm. You can draw a little easier. I'm just using a mouse. Oops. Make sure you. It'd be a little bit less pronounced than that. So like if this top thing had a storage, just like, will that look kind of silly? I guess I could have just zoomed out a little bit. Yeah, so there's that kind of idea, and it would be kind of neat to incorporate like like a shelf as well, because like having stuff up off the wall is, or up onto the wall off the floor, is good for like shop cleanliness. But if it's like a fixture and it's sitting there like a piece of furniture or like a storage area, that's not technically bad. Like this will be able to, like if it's 4 feet wide and like 6 feet tall, or not six, maybe like up to your chin level so you can actually see it. So like, I don't know, 5.5 feet. So I'm just under 6 feet. So, you know, like 5'7" or so is probably at my chin. I got a movie on in the background too. I'm kind of just like, got some music in the background for filler, and like a movie. I'm doing this and doing the CAD work. Sorry, you'll see me get distracted pretty often. Hopefully it's not too bad. So this could do several levels. 1, 2, 3. So if you had a rack on top of here, and that could be like sheet metal or something. Oop, that could be sheet metal. Right, so rack on the bottom, sort of like a rack on the top here. Just quickly like doing its thing, and then maybe casters, something like that. It might actually be beneficial to have a full tray on the bottom. But if I'm lifting anything heavy up there, which I won't be, I don't think, then there's that idea. So we could do, there's two things we can do. We can dual purpose. So if we have 3 positions for this, going across, we can have a spot for the racks. This is so bad, I'm sorry. I should really work on my drawings, my sketching skills. Or we can have the rolls on a thing here, and they should be big enough where you can just lift the one end up, right, and then slide the, so slide, just to slide them. So this this dimension here at the very, oops, at the very top, dimension at the top here has to be, do I have, I don't think I have a wire ready to go or not. Oh, maybe I do. I don't know how this is gonna go. Oh, it is up here. Great. I have a tablet. It's this direction. Tablet. I haven't used this in ages, so we'll see how this works. Oh my goodness. Dim. Wow, that's really bad. Dim for, I was gonna say, so this dimension is going to be min diameter of dim min is equal to diameter wire fill. Oops. That's all I got. Spool. Should probably work on my other writing here too. Ah, you can do that. Oh, this is good. I haven't used this in so long. So yeah, we have the other pieces here. So if this was just like sitting on top, ugh, this is not really super accurate. Tray, and then shelf. So fully encapsulated. So you could put tools, you could put a whole bunch of stuff on here, and then maybe same with the ends. I'm not really 100% too sure, but that's kind of the idea that I had. Casters, wheels, casters, wheels. It could be like a straight or, oops, something like that. Oh. Ah, let me see here. Concussed. That's something else. So I think that's a pretty good idea as far as that goes. Shoot that over here. I got way too much stuff on my desk here. Too many wires. Too many wallets. Too many things. Too many trinkets. There. Where's my mouse, please? Hello. Oh, so now I don't have to sneeze. Man, what a pain. Okay. We could save to disk. Do I don't know. Shelf. Uh, 27. What's it, April? Okay. So there's that. Feel free to use that sketching program too. This is just Excalidraw. I just have it hosted on my own site. You can save your file locally, like I just did there. There's like a whole bunch. You can just export an image if you want to. You know, like black and white, or you can do dark mode, like all those types of things. Background, no background. It's pretty good. You can scale like all your stuff. You can embed it if you want. SVG or PNG, or you can just copy it, which is kind of cool. So if you do no background and dark mode, and you copy the clipboard, you can paste it on wherever. So I'm going to work on my sketching and a few other things, but yeah, feel free to do that. I'll drop the link. Drop the link in the thing there. Sketchboard. Sketchboard if you want to use it. Hopefully that showed up. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I'm uploading all my VODs from Twitch to YouTube, and I'm probably gonna go through those. Maybe make something. Okay, so in Fusion, there's a pipe command, and I'll show you what this does here. So what this does is there's a couple different ways to do length modeling, or like something that has a section to it in Fusion. There's no real wrong way. I'm just going to show you a couple different ways. So if we have just like a line here, so I don't know, 12 inches or something, and we can make this line into a solid with the pipe command. So you have the pipe that can be circular, square, triangle. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. You can change the section size, so that if it's square, it's 2 by 2, 1 by 1, a 3/4 by 3/4, stuff like that. Pretty basic. The one that I had designed before, I used to have about, I'd say 300 pounds of wire on it. So that was 1 by 1. I could probably put 10,000 pounds on it. It was so overbuilt. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. It took me an entire day to fabricate, so like really long time. Actually, maybe it was over a day. It was probably 2 days. No, it was just a day. That's trying to remember, right? Because I had all the industrial tools as well. So there's that. So there's this way. Or what you can do is you can draw. I'll make a sketch here, so it's like you can make a plane on a path. So which is this guy here. Plane along a path, and that could be curved too, which is pretty powerful. And then make a sketch. Make sure you have your center point, because that's where it's going to I forgot the word. Sweep. Thank you. Sweep along. So in here, we're just gonna make a square. We're gonna put some roundy rounds on this, because in the sketch, like, say 0.25, something like that. And we're gonna go on the inside. So there's a couple different ways of doing this. I'm showing you sketch way first. Negative 0.125. It'd probably be even thinner than that. Probably. Steel is extremely strong, so you really don't need a whole lot of it. It does need to be in the right configuration though. So 1, and then this is also 1. It's probably 0.125. Yeah. So 1 by 1 by 16th, and then you can sweep along whatever path that you choose. Make sure you have, right? So there's that way to do that. And then if you do it this way, you only really have to do this like one time if you, so we're going to go back. So we're going to be drawing this in a, right? We're going to be drawing this separately from this component. So we're just going to say section. So section, you can have externally handle this as well. So do new projects, wire, filament rack. I should probably just call this racks. So save. Wire and filament rack. Right, so this first section, you can always export this as well. So make sure you turn on the origin, and because you're going to be using this correctly. So in your XY plane, this is where you want to draw your section, and it'll be the exact same as before. But I'm lazy, so let me turn on this. Edit. So it should have a thing. Yep. Right, so back in this one here, we'll go into this section here, edit, and I'm gonna move this off to the side because it's floating in space. So all you would be doing is tacking this down. There we go. So what this is you have XY, and then that's your section, essentially. So that's your section, and this section can be moved around because it's not tacked down to anywhere, essentially. So we have the ability to move this around because it's a component and it's floating in this thing here. So if you want to export this real quick so that it's external and it's not governed by what's in the program. So if you change it, or sorry, in the current component, so you change the exterior one, then all the other ones change. So this is good for materials that never change. So like if you're buying like some materials, you kind of want them to be like a standard, so they'll never ever change. So it's kind of a good way to do that sort of thing. So that's why I'm showing it to you. Oh, or you don't have to, either one. So and then it's nice to have a section library, because you can bring in a section and then break the link to that and then use it for whatever you want. And you could do that with the parameters as well. So if you had a parameter file, like just a file that had all their parameters in it, you could derive that into your drawing, and then now you have all those parameters from the previous file. So I demonstrated that in the lunchbox video, doing skeleton modeling and referencing context references and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a little bit more complicated, sometimes unnecessary too, but it's just another way to 3D model things. So we'll do this as section. We don't need to export to the computer, just in the cloud. We'll call it square section. Square section. And you could even make a library of all these, so they're just like drag and drop. And then you would delete this. Go into this to make sure everything is good. Everything is white. This is edit sketch. Everything looks like it's locked down. Although these are not, but they're in reference to other things. So edit. See, you see how all of this is kind of referenced, and these are referenced to each other, and then this has its own thickness. So like if you wanted, because that's a cross, like this has previous reference to itself, and if you didn't want it that way, you can just do a regular here to here, and say this has did it go in horizontal, vertical? Oh boy. Okay. Midpoint and midpoint, which will be perfect because it's horizontal, vertical. And I should have done the midpoint to here, and then to move this over. So it would be to there. Midpoint, midpoint. So, and it's the same as it was before. Just keep it like that. So you want to keep this on, and then you don't technically need to have the origin on. It's just nice to use for like a visual reference. So save that. So that's a lot of setup. So in here, when we bring this square section in, we can put it wherever we want. So there's no sketch here. I just did that by accident. Get out of here. Delete. So this we can move around. This is externally referenced, so we have to joint this into place or place it somewhere that we want to use it, and then capture the position. So like this. So if I go back a little bit, it's going to go to this position, but I've told Fusion, no, I want it in this position. So I prefer to use joints. I think it's a little bit has a little bit more context to it, although it's a similar thing. There we go. So you see how it oriented itself. This is the reason why I say, oh, it's a little bit more helpful. So I wanted to have the X and the Y like this, because I'm looking down the length like that, and I can orient the Z and the X maybe in the same the X in the same direction as the X direction in the component I'm working in. So here, and then also I can move it along like wherever I want. So say if I want it from here to here and it's only X amount, then you can do that. So there we go. So there's that. And then also, if you're using another component, if you're inside, like because this is externally referenced, whatever I create in here is now a body of this main component or whatever component that you're in, right? So say I create another new component. I don't know, leg 1 or something like that, and I create a new thing, it does it in that position, right? So if I create this and say I'm going to want it the full length, 2 objects here, so now I have a leg that's from here to here that's based on this square section. And then also, if I create, say I had 4 legs that are the same size, I go back here, create the leg, Control V, Control C, Control Enter, Control C, Enter, Control C, Enter, or something like that. You just go back, Control V, move it over, Control V, move it over, Control V, move it over. So these are all copies of each other and their references. So the leg 1, 2, 3, and 4, so those instances all reference the same square section because that's how it was originally created over here. So if this square section, here's the crazy part, if I change this, I'm going to turn on the show dimensions. So I change this to 2 inches, right? Or actually, I was going to do it the other way around. 1 by 2, and I save this because it's external, right? And I update this, they all change, right? So they all change in size. Now, the other part is that when I created this, it has a length to it. So that length is based on the sketch that I made. Where are you? Yeah. So I think I did it here. Show dimension. There we go. So this dimension here. So if I change this dimension 10, they all change. Carsey, I need to have different ones. Ah, excellent. Okay, well, this is how you do that. So you can just Control V again, right? And it gives you a new thing. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So, but what we're going to do is right click on that main component or wherever you want to put it, say paste new. Ah, so this one is different now. We could call this leg 2, right? And it actually means it's leg 2. And then if I copy this one, I have to capture position on this one. So we're going to capture position because I brought it over and it doesn't know where it is, right? And I Control V again, and then again. Now, what's this one based off of? Because this one's new, right? This doesn't have anything to it. If I start this off, will it change? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, it will. That's the original one. But drum roll, please. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually know what I'm doing. I really don't. So that's the instance. So let me, unless I did it wrong. So that's the original things that we've done. But from now on in the timeline, if I change something with say leg 1, I'm pretty sure this is how this works. And we're going to test it out together. If I was to create another instance or something on this, because I'm in leg 1, right? Just going to do that. We're going to do like a notch at the end or something. Right? See how the all doubled? But hey, these ones didn't. What's going on here? Right? Oops. And say we go from here to here. Wow, they all changed. How cool is that, right? But how come these ones didn't change? Because they're a new instance of the original. Right? And I can make this 12, make this 13, whatever it is, but I can also shorten these ones up. Now, what happens if you want the lengths all different and you want this control right away? Well, you have to create that sketch in the beginning. So if we do another, we're going to go back, make this active. We're going to start off with a sketch. This is the reason why most people say make sure you, or new component, not new sketch. Well, new sketch as well. So new component, and you could even externally do this. So you always have a choice. External reference, you're going to use it in other drawings besides this one. It might be a good idea, but if you change this and if you change it externally, it changes all of your drawings. So you have to be careful about that. More for standard idea. So we don't want to standardize it. We just want different versions of it. So we'll keep this internal. We'll say post, right? And now, where's that post? So we turn on the origin. Oh, it's still here. Okay, well, I don't really want it there to begin with. It's all over the place. So we're going to select the post, bring this back here somewhere. We're going to capture that position so it stays in position here when I go to do something. Excuse me. Where is the... Right, so there's that origin again. Now I'm gonna bring, I can just casually copy this over, or even before I do that, is I'm gonna make a sketch. I'm just gonna do it. Sketch this plane. I'm gonna do it how long? I don't know, 12 or 6. We'll just do it 6 for now, so we know that they're short. So 6. Now we have this sketch is tied to this post, unlike this one, which is tied to the main file. This main file here, right? Now, in this post, I can copy this section. See how it comes into this one now? Wow, interesting. So this one still have the same thing. It's still going to be a rectangle, because it's externally referenced, but now I can joint this right to here, this one. Oh, and you can hold the control when you're in here, or shift, right, and it'll do the, I'm sorry, it'll do this either one here. Control X and Y is correct, and then inside the posts we can do this based on that length. So it's a little bit more involved, but it gives you a lot more control. So now this post here, if you were to copy, we're gonna do the main thing again. So post, copy here. Notice how everything is being copied. So Control V, gonna move that whole thing over. So, Garzi, what is this? Interesting. There's no joint in this one anymore. Why is that? Isn't that funny? Where did I put the joint? Wasn't that on there? Let's go back. So, number 1. See, we're all over the place here. So square section, which one is off here? This is in here, and it should joint in. U to U. Maybe I went backwards. Boom. Okay. Where'd that joint go though? Ah, it's still in the main one. Why is that? It's an assembly context. Strange. Very, very strange, right? So I can say, Karzi, I don't want to do it that way. I don't like that. I would want it done the other way. Well, we're going to try it the other way. So let's go back. Control V a bunch of times. Get rid of that. So now we can say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to bring this into here. And we'll move it over here just so it's like in that spot. But now we're going to break the link. So this no longer has a link through all this other stuff here. So what should happen? Is it going to have an assembly context again? Or is it going to have just a regular joint? So this is a little bit of weirdness, but it's done like this for reasons. To keep everything like the same, I guess, if you want to say that. Now, I don't actually know if this is going to become a joint or not. I got a really good hypothesis. It very well should. What happened? Is it still a joint? And then why is that joint in here? Good question. This is good stuff to go over, right? So let's do this again. Now, that's the main. We're going to activate this, and then now we're going to bring it in from the outside. We can't insert it into itself. Oops, I'm sorry. Square section. So why'd you bring it into here? Why there? And now let's do it again. Joint from here to there. Still the main joint. Strange, isn't it? So you got a rigid here, rigid joint here, rigid joint here. So now you have an externally referenced post with an externally referenced thing here. Should you be doing this inside its own drawing? So let's do that. Maybe this is a limitation of Fusion. Maybe it's just a bug. I don't know. This is why we try and explore different stuff. Oh, I should have put that back to 1. Everything else is going to change in the other drawing. So we're going to update the post. Right, so we have this in here. With the external reference, and it is jointed, but it's jointed in the wrong. It's jointed in the wrong thing. It should be jointed within this post here, because this. Oh, I'm sorry. I did that incorrectly. That's my fault. I'm sorry. Wow. Boo on me. Alright, where we start messing around with stuff. Go forward a little bit, and we created a post. We did the origin. Square section is here. Okay. Right there. Alright. So we're going to turn that one off, but now, man, I can't believe I did this to you guys. I did it to myself too. I do this pretty, oh, I forgot to capture the position. That's probably why I forgot. We're going to do the sketch. Now the sketch should be in with the same component. I can't believe I did that. So it's white, the ends are horizontal vertical, or the origin black, and then this one technically is defined, but it's not connected to anything. Okay, so we have an origin there. Now when we do this, I'm gonna have this over here, origin, and then this should be on here, that origin. Oops, I'll turn that off. And we joint it from here to here again. The joint should show up under the post here, right? Okay, great. And the reason why I didn't do it before is Fusion is smart enough to say, hey, you didn't joint it to something that wasn't in that thing, so therefore the joint goes back to wherever the sketch was made. So the sketch actually was made in here. I didn't have the posts active. This is like one of the things you got to check for all the time. Like really, really try and do that. It's super easy to make a mistake. I've done this action like literally thousands of times, and I still get it wrong sometimes. So just so you know, don't put too much weight in that. Anyways, okay. So now externally referenced in a component that's all by itself, which has its own thing, its own sketch, and now I can make this its own because I'm still have that current objects. Right, so now it's like I literally have an object with an external reference for its size, but it's local. The sketch itself, whereas should I mention this dimension here is its own, right? So when I do this 12 or whatever, or if I change this one 15, these ones are never changed because the length instance is from itself. Now, because the main difference between these two, leg 1 and 2, are referencing the same sketch. That's the reason why that reference changed. And so it's like, where is the information coming from? Okay, well, now if I create more instances of this same thing, right? What do we think is going to happen? So we have post 2 and then post 3, right? So notice how it's like making stuff all over the place. Why is that? So the joint is there. Why isn't that showing that correctly? No, let's redraw it. It's just something like, so I did when I say redraw, I mean Control B. So if you do Control B, it's like a rebuild function, and it just says, okay, maybe I'm not showing this in the right spot, right? So, and that's the square section that's being referenced. So it didn't show the reference in the right spot. So do you think if I change one, it's going to change the others? So let's change that. 15. Wow, they all changed. Why is that? 15, 10, or 1, 10. And they did that because it's all the same. It's all the same reference. So this one still references this one. This one still references this one. If I change any of these, right, in the external thing, they still all change. So if I wanted to change that 2 by 2, these change and these change. So let me just demonstrate that really quick. 2, right, only 2, and you have to save these, right, for those changes to take place, and then you have to update these. So update all. These all change size. So that's it's handy if you're drawing things, like with this one reference. Then you could copy this one reference and then use a new one in something else if you wanted to do that. It's like, oh, going forward from here, we're going to use this new reference, and then that's just how the reference is done. And then that, because it's an external reference, is easy to replace because you got to replace component, right? So you could just drag and drop the thing in it and they all change. It's amazing. Well, the ones that you drag and dropped in. Okay, so how do you create new ones? So you have the post one, for example. Now you can still do paste new, right? So the paste new is going to come over here, and now this I could say, I don't know, post 4. Post 4, I guess, and then say copy capture position, because it would want to go back here in its position, right? So now I have 3 here, and these are all referenced to each other, but not these ones. 6, and then not referencing these ones. So there's some interplay here depending on where you want to get all your stuff from. Like everything changes in these, even the dimension position. It really is. So if you keep doing that paste new, you can create all new stuff. Or if you're thinking about, like in here, I have 4 legs. These are all going to be the same leg. They're kind of rotated, right? Or if they were all the same, they'd be mirrors to each other, going like this one is the same as this one, but it's backwards. Like how do I actually work that? So if this was square on the top, like all the dimensions were the same, these posts would all be the same angle, same everything. It would be the exact same part. But because this is a rectangle, this is shown in opposite, right? And then shown in opposite the other way. So we make one and then mirror the other ways. We could say shown in opposite and then mirror them again, shown in opposite. So technically this one and this one will be the same. So if you take the same thing, so like if I make this one and this one, is all of this here going to be the same as all the stuff on the other side? So you say, okay, if I take this exact same thing and spin it around, right, here and here, should that actually be the same? The answer is yes, it actually should be. So you have two of these and two of these, right? Because you're making the exact same thing, but on each side. Now, if these were different in any way, or if they had different features like screw holes at the back or something like that, then they're not symmetrical anymore. So, like the original part is symmetrical. So this is when efficiency in manufacturing like requires more engineering in that sort of sense, because now you have a stage of manufacturing where you have a bunch of stuff that's common. So you have one drawing. Yo, what's up? One thing that's one drawing, and then from that one drawing you have a bunch of other things that start with that one drawing, or that one instance of that part. Pretty awesome. How you doing, dude? Welcome in. Hope you're having a good Sunday, if it's Sunday where you're at. So yeah, that's I covered a lot of stuff there. We tried out a few things, and I actually wasn't sure. Like there's a lot of times I'm not sure about stuff, so I just give it a try anyways. It takes so little time to try something out, then you have the understanding, then you can just redo it again. Sometimes I just forget, which is even more crazy. I forget stuff all the time. Holy moly. But yeah, and then there's I didn't show you the other way. So the first thing that I started off with was the pipe. So I'm just gonna go all the way back here. So the pipe. So if you start off with something like this, and you don't really care for the components, you don't care about the drawings, you just kind of want to get it made, don't even bother unless you're getting the weight of it. And then if you want to get the weight of it within 5% or something like that, then just shell it. So shelling is really easy. 0.065, right? So if you want the wall, and then it's not in its true sense what you're using like in real life, because real life has a radius on all this stuff, like I showed before. So if you don't really care about all that and you can work around it, and you're just looking for general dimensions, this is probably the best and easiest way to do stuff as far as that goes. So if you're doing it for manufacturing, it's probably better to have the radiuses in there and all that. I don't know. There's it all depends on the manufacturer too. So you have to change your drawing slightly if it's like really true to life sort of design. All those specifications have to be adhered to in order to get like in your final product. Like if you really, really want it like super close, you're drawing super close to what's going to be in actual. So yeah, you ate too many tacos and now you're tired. That's the story of my life. That's so good. But it's like hopefully it's a good like, oh my goodness, I'm so sleepy. Like you're slipping into the taco slumber. It's so good. Yeah. Yeah, so there's that go. And then you could just do it all in bodies too. So here's the other really, really great thing. If you have, so I'm going to change the sketch here. Basically going to destroy everything that I just made here. I'm just going to go back. We're going to delete all the things after the history. Actually, you know what? Hang on. So before we do any of that, we're going to just save it. So then we have a milestone. I can always open that back up again. I'm going to delete all the features. We're going to modify this sketch. So edit the sketch. We're going to do, I don't know, 15 by, what do you think, 48? 48? 40? 40, something like that. Let's do 44. 44 is always a nice number. I think that's how old I am too. Wait a second. Holy crap, that is my age. I didn't do that by... I did that by accident, actually. Go figure. Alright. So we have this. We have the base. And then we can create a few other things here. So on this one, we're going to project that. We're going to move this up. I don't know. Say another 44. That's a good, nice round number. At the top here, we want to do, I don't know, 10. Let's do 12. Why not? Midpoint. I did that on purpose. Right. So I have this, and then we can offset this X, Y, or YZ plane to this object. So that one is tied into this little itty bitty plane is now a proper size plane. I'm just going to project that and project this one. So that becomes a plane. And oops, I forgot to offset. So offset that to this object, 44. Or you could use the numbers, or you could use the numbers in the parameters. No wrong answers here. Just trying to quickly draw this stuff out. Quickly draw. Oh man, too much tacos. Now I want tacos. My diet does not permit tacos right now. I wish it did. So project here, not project, projects. So now I have this like skeleton of sketches and of planes too, where I want everything. And that's all based on 1, 2, that's probably this one, show dimension. Right, so that'll give me the height and the width of all that. So if I want to bring this back to 10, for example, everything else should change. But now, it's like I have all these things here. Can I make all these things just like really quickly with the pipe? And yeah, you can. You can create all that. So I can create the one at the top. I can create this one here. Right? So that one's at the center line as well. And maybe we can do above and below if that's how we want to connect them together. So we can make 2 frames and then just 4 legs, or we could just do them individually. I would say new body and new body again. Right. And then if we were doing this whole thing, you really only need to do half of this. So that's the kind of other way to look at a lot of these things. It's like just draw half of it or draw all of it. So I'm just going to create all of them because it's so few things. But if you wanted to do stuff like that, you don't have to go in there and do all that stuff. So these are all too long. There's too many bodies here. These are too long, and I believe these are all together. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Take off those. Take off this body. And even turn off the sketches. This is all the way around. Well, that's not really right, is it? So these would be maybe mitered or just like straight across. I like to do straight across because like that's just how I've done things when I drew structural steel, we didn't do any miters. It was very rare. Like customer would actually have to specify a miter for us to do miters because it's just slower. I don't know why that is. The shop always did stuff faster. They would rather do end caps and weld all the way around and then butt joint these up. Maybe it was a fitting thing. That's probably what it was. It's faster to do fitting, especially if you have a really accurate saw and it cuts things extremely square. Then maybe that's true. They're cutting an entire like a bundle of tubes at once. They probably had their reasons. Yeah, so it was just never really explained. It was never really explained to me like that. So now I don't have these aren't hollow. These are all solid. So if I was going back here and I'd say, okay, well, is this the best way to do that? I don't know. Maybe not. Right? So if we started off with, we'll just do this here. We started off with 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. We're doing the pipes again. And we could say it's hollow as well. We'll just do the one and the section thickness, right? So now we don't even have to, do the, we don't have to do the shell ourselves, right? So section thickness 0.065, and it's still square. So this would be more true if it was aluminum versus steel. This would be like an extruded section, right? So we have this, and then we could like literally do the next one. All those things should be the same. We just say new body, and we can do here new body, and new body, and new body, right? So these only go to the extent here. So unfortunately, the things that are missing, from, like, say, Inventor are the position. So I can't change the position of the tube because it's not like an actual like section. I'm pretty sure that this is in the works already, because as soon as they do this for Fusion, this becomes extremely powerful. And I don't see any other thing to do this in Fusion the way you would do it in Inventor or Onshape or something like that. I believe the coil has this feature, but I'm not 100% sure. You can select whether you want it inside, outside, and all the rest. And then maybe, because you can do thin extrude. So thin extrude is this whole thing, right? So which would give you thickness on your line, and then you can say, hey, where you want the side, center, and all this stuff here. Whereas in an Inventor, for example, you have your line, and then you can choose where you want your section. So do you want it on the corner, the centers, like right in the center of the thing, and all that stuff there. So what I usually end up doing is just creating in this sort of idea. Yeah. Also, the miter is going to taper to become thin. More settings to weld. Yeah, exactly. So if we wanted to do a miter, because that's square. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of ways, a whole bunch of ways to do fabrication stuff. I work for several different shops doing drawings like this, and everybody's different. Everybody has their own thing. There's some saws that literally never change. I worked for a saw. They specifically changed out the whole base of the saw, or they had it custom made or something. I never seen another one. It was always square. You couldn't change it at all. So it's like whatever they set that to is just all set. High precision, and the way they had it done. It was like, it's smart, like, because nothing could ever be different if it's all like that. But every once in a while, maybe, like every year or two, they would probably send the clamp out or something like that to have reground, just so it was like perfectly square. I was like, that's crazy. But it's like it's less work down the road, right? If all your stuff is super precise to begin with, and they have like a 3-inch blade on it too, like so huge amount of cutting capacity. Fine tooth, huge blade. I wonder if even they even made, what do you call it, like had those blades custom made. Jeez, I have no idea. Should go back to them, figure that out. So easy miters, do a mid plane. Just 2 mid planes. Oops, that's not the 2 that I wanted. That's the first. Nope. We'll get it eventually. 1 here, 1 here, and then that creates a mid plane. Not the same as this one, although it's similar. We could do those 2. They're just in a different area. That'll create the first miter, and then the second cut we don't need to worry about. So the compound cut from the bottom, I'm just going to use one of these surfaces instead. Right. So I use replace face pretty religiously for these things here. So it's source faces, and then select the target face. It's kind of like an all-in-one. It'll extend and it will extend and it will trim all kind of in one shot. So that sort of idea. And if you were doing like a lot of this stuff, you can create this whole thing as a component and just like start out with that. So that's like another thing to think about. If you're using like this sort of weldment over and over and over again. So always good to copy the work when you can actually do that. Similar thing to this. So we do replace face again, here to here, and then here to here. Schmurp. Right. Turn those 2 off, and then I have this guy here, which is there. I can turn off pretty much all the sketches too. Except now we're gonna do replace face. I should be able to do that face and then select the target. So cannot be replaced because it's not big enough, right? It doesn't cover the whole thing. So a lot of the times, just making a you can do offsets, or you can just do like a standard plane, like that would be sufficient. And you can make them smaller too if you wanted to. Offset plane. And then this should definitely do the replace face. Here. 2, 3. Yep. Oh, don't make me. There we go. Place face. Sometimes less is more, right? And you'll notice that's off a little bit. It's not perfectly in the corner because this is being built to the center line, not to the outside. What was I doing again? Yeah, replace face. So similar sort of thing. If you can kind of guess where that face is, you can select it through just with a long press, and blam, you have your 2 things here. So you notice that this is off because this is all along the center line. Oh, I can't do this in multiples. Boo. There we go. Opacity. I guess I could do them all, right? Opacity. Let's do 10%. We turn on all these. Oh, it's the whole thing. Everything gets everything gets the opacity diminished. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, well we can kind of see it from here. So the reason why that's not the same is because it's all center line referenced. So there's another issue. Like that's one of the other things that we can, like, if you're using this for quick and dirty stuff, this totally works. It's close enough. You can line up this. The angle might be off half a degree or something. Nothing's gonna matter when you start welding. So all this stuff here, like if it'll grow and all this stuff, depends on how you like it. I would guess. At the end of the day, I don't know. I don't think you're actually gonna see it. So I've seen far worse, far worse fit up than that, and it comes out okay. Especially if you got the grinder. But that's in the spirit of doing. It's not gonna ever look perfect. Because the walls are square and everything else. But I think it's okay. That's the way the one that I built looked, and it was fine. If you don't like this connection and you don't want to do a crown at the top, you can always do the sides instead. So we can try that in the other direction. So instead of doing... if you do it this way here, then you get this all the way to the top. Right? So same with the mid-plane. You want to do it this way. Replace face. Jeez, what movie is this that's on in the background? Holy crap. Somebody died. This was not the movie that I thought it was going to be. It's supposed to be about aliens. Not about other stuff. People killing people. Replace face. So one to there. I could probably do both at the same time. No, I can't. I've tried that before. Right. So then you have a nice miter on top, and then you can do a replace face in the end, which won't work because half of it's not there. So similar situation. Not half of it. Some of it's not there. Nice little quick way to shorten stuff. So I think all the tools are there for Fusion to, like all the libraries are built and all that stuff. They just have to actually build the tool. I don't think there's anything stopping anybody from building that actual tool. Somebody's probably already done it. We could do a quick search for that. Fusion 360. I guess this would be what's stick modeling. Oh geez, what's it called in Inventor? I always forget this. Man, if you don't use stuff for a little bit, then it's just gone. Frame generator. Oh, okay. That might work well. We could try that out. It's called structural members. Similar to the frame generator in Inventor, this add-in allows users to insert standard structural members from a library. I think I've used this before, actually. Selecting sketch lines and curves models, however, as of now, the structural member add-in does not support editing the members without deleting and reinserting them. Ew. Yeah, because it would have to do all those things over again, right? There's always a close rock. This movie is called Jonah, I think. It's on Tubi. A journalist's childhood trauma resurfaces during an investigation into a mother's claims that her son was abducted by aliens. So it totally has like that whole line to it, but it's like, yeah, I don't think that's what it is. It's no. It's not what I expected anyways. Users have reported several issues with the structural member add-in, such as alignment problems when inserting multiple members, the inability to cut the members after insertion, difficulties in generating a cut list. Yeah, so like, if you think about the problem that has, so like the Fusion core is really good. Like well, I think it's pretty good. I think it's efficient at doing its thing, but the way everything else is handled is not great. But the tools to build other tools is really powerful. And that's why it takes a while for Fusion stuff to come out, is they really want it to work well. I think there's stuff that's come and gone too after, like, as time has gone on. Like getting a good solid bill of materials, like, and I'm comparing this to, well, even Advanced Steel is good. Like, it has all those things to it, so it's not like they don't know how to do that. I predominantly used Tekla structures when I did structural steel and weldments. It just kind of, it seemed like it was superior to me in that way, but I was just used to doing that. That's what the company wanted. You know, they paid me for like 3 months to train myself essentially while I was working. Yeah. Finally, a little bit of sci-fi in this movie. Give me a sec here. I'm gonna come back. So there's that way to do it too, and then we can just align from here to here, because these just are bodies. So after you have all these things done, there's nothing that says we can't move this over. So body 12. We'll just move it point to point. Right. So that's probably how I would do it. Hard to say. I think that's how I built the last one. Pretty sure that I did the crossbars in between and then made the ends different, or made the ends the same, because I had to make two of them, right? So shown on opposite, that sort of idea. And then also when you set up the drawing, my goodness, so make sure if you have a fairly symmetric part, please do yourself a favor and put your coordinate system in the middle of your part, like I didn't do. And then everything else changes, obviously, right? Because now all that stuff is built on that area. So how far, or where is your thing? So this second thing, that has to be redesigned or redone. So we have to offset a plane if we want to start there. What did I say? It was 22, right? For some reason, I don't like going in the positive. I always like going from the left to the right. Maybe that's because just how I speak or read. Should probably use redefine sketch plane. This is a double-edged sword, especially when you got things that are projected, which I will have in all the other ones. It's because now this isn't anywhere. It's fixed in space, right? Where is this going, right? So you have to. There's a lot of things that need to be redone. These are kind of like off in the middle of nowhere because there's no actual reference to that thing. So if this reference changes, now the others will change. And we don't need to do the other side because we're only doing so much, right? Delete. Which makes a lot of sense. Why do more work than you have to? Yeah, even this we don't have to do. So we don't need that. Where's all of our stuff? I think the 2 up into the move point. Get rid of those. So we have one here. And then it would be the same for the outside and then one in the middle. It makes more sense to do the bottom one as a total. So if you're looking at like a bearing, but like literally it doesn't even matter that much. Weld is just so strong. Midpoint. I'm just doing this. It's just easier, I guess. Let me do. Nope. Do we need to have? I don't think we even need to have this top piece either. I am going to turn this down because it's crazy sounding. Wow. So 530. And then, yeah, even like the total, technically speaking, actually, right. So if you wanted to have like the full, like I want a 15 or if I want a 20 or something like that, there's a you could do, I think, something that's like length is equal to 44 and then divide that by 2. I think that works. So if you say length, it won't work, I don't think. Yep, it does have the length. So there's always, like if we say 22 or 44, yeah. Can't do it all in one shot. That was wishful thinking. Edit. Length divided by 2. I just changed what it was. So length is equal to 44, and then we could say length divided by 2. There we go. I'm special. That should be in there. So 22. No pipesies. Delete. Where is that one? And some of these movies, the audio EQing is so bad. Or normalization. Is that maybe what it's called? Like the music and the sound effects are just so loud at certain points, or the dialogue is just so quiet. One of those things that I'm pretty pretty particular to. Alright. What was I doing again? I'm sorry. I was trying to make this I was doing this based on the sketches, wasn't I? Yep. Okay. So setting up your sketches. Nice. Yeah. So length 44. There we go. And then width is equal to 12, something like that. And you can see everything change up there. So you really need to make sure that your sketches are robust. And I just changed a bunch of stuff here. So the length between here and here should be so it's kind of like, where did that go? Why? Horizontal, vertical. And then I think I had that as 44. 44 is wool. And then when we're doing, say like this pipe, for example, the length of this, oh, does that have a nice control in there? Oh, it does. So 50, that's always going to be 50, right? Yeah, it is. I love that. That is so nice. Okay. So we just say length. So between you and you. Is this one not locked in? It is not locked in. Talk about doing stuff like the, it's like you do it one way, try it another way, do it another way over here. And then it's like, yeah, well, look how we just turned everything out here. It's so bad. So not fully locked into space here. And maybe right? Just because we didn't have that location all done. And from here to here, we could do this at 0.5 as well. So that's pretty cool. 0.5. Distance. Delete. These are all going to be the same size. This one up here isn't. 0.5. No. What was the section size in this one? 0.5. I said 5, not 0.05. Okay. And yeah. So this one here, we already have a plane for the replace a face. And just move that down a little bit. And yeah, we'll do that again. I see a little bit of you here. So that's sitting out there in that location. And now if I could just copy this up. So this is technically in the wrong spot. It's pretty darn close. You can see it's off just a little bit from that corner. Probably doesn't matter that much. So we're just kind of riffing it, right? So we could say, I'm just going to grab this right from the center point and move it up to the other center point. That is right there. And same thing with this one, it's going to be off just slightly. But you know, you'd line it up anyways, just by hand or whatever else. I don't think anybody's going to be making a jig for all this stuff. So now when we, this is going to have its frame all the way around. And we can say, we'll go one way first and then the other way next. Because we're going to have a few other things here. Well, actually, we could just do all these things in the same spot. In this sketch, edit. Let's do, we're going to draw. Is that, yeah, horizontal, vertical, okay. So we're gonna copy, I don't know, a few of these. Anyways, I would do a pattern, but they're not, it won't work correctly with a pattern. Well, I guess it could, if we just patterned the whole thing up. I just wanted the endpoint, a crisp endpoint wherever I go to this. And then just trim this off here. Is there two here? Trim. Make sure there's no double. And there is. Crazy. Alright. So maybe we'll do another one. One here and one there. Now what we can do is if we want all these equal, so we have 44 and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. Right, we just do that divided by 5. And then same thing with this. And you can just do it based on that first one. So you don't have to keep doing the calculation over and over again. Or you can just do the daisy chain like I'm doing. I'm being lazy. Right. So then all of these, and then this is the check dimension at the end. So 880, 880. So if I wanted to have, you know, a whole bunch of stuff here, and these are going to be like round sections, this will probably have to be slightly larger. I'm going to say that those are what, 10 inches. So 200 millimeters in diameter, roughly about 8 inches. You know, like if that's what you're going after. So these have to fit. So these would probably just barely work. So I did that just as a interesting thing there. Oops, I forgot to put the points in because I was only doing half. Technically, actually, I just want the one side. Psychopath. And it's like it's a similar sort of thing for all these ones, right? So we can create the pipes. Doing the pipes, eh? So new body. New body. No, not delete. I miss New body. New body. I really like the frame generator for stuff like this. It's just so much faster. But you know, it's actually not. It's not really that bad. There's a lot of other automated tooling that goes along with that I really like as well. So it's not just like it's not just the 3D modeling experience. It's everything down the line too, and welding and you know, and coping and trimming and all the rest. So now we have a bunch of these things here. We need to trim. And if you wanted to do this like kind of quick, you can always just split the bodies instead. This is always like in your split tool is this one, right? And now you just select these bodies and then just remove them. If that's an easy, strange, doesn't let you to do it like with the one swoop. And you could just double check, make sure all 4 are gone, and then these are on here as well. It just creates more stuff in your timeline instead of like well, I shouldn't say that, because it's like, what do you want, to replace faces in here or the removes? So it's, you know, it's one extra thing. But you know, if you don't have to create the plane, a few other things, and there's less picks, then you know it's not such a bad way to do things. So the other thing in here too, we'll do 15 just to make sure everything looks the same. It's good to oh my goodness, periodically. Oh my goodness, words are hard sometimes. Periodically check to make sure that everything is parametric the way that you want it to be, while you still have lots of things fresh in your head. So I said I wanted to do 2 positions plus or I want to do 3 positions on each one of these, and then one in the so I could have the choice of either doing a spool in the middle. So it's like a spool in the middle, or it's a spool that just kind of like sits in there. We have to think about where, how we want that to sit. So we could say, and then how do we want this to look? So this is here. This is going to be on the other side as well. So in the center, we could just draw this as like circles if we wanted to, or it's like a full square. So if we're doing like a 1 inch round thing, we can do this one on the inside too. Right, so from the top, and then this would be to the bottom. And why driven? It's not driven. Oh, it is driven, because I put you at the wrong spot. No. So this, if it's like 1 inch in diameter or 2 or something like that, maybe 1.5. Like how big of a piece are we going to use for this? And if you want it to sit out there or sit on top, I don't know. I think that might look huge. So if you did 1 inch, then it will sit in here nice, and then we could just create just a little bit of a clearance, so there's not too much friction. So maybe 1.065, 1.065, a little bit like an eighth. And then because this is hollow, also this is gonna have, get to the wrong one again. There we go. We just make this equals, so they're the same, but this one is going to go right at the end. And I can also coincident constrain there, and then maybe one for the middle. So if I know that these are 200 millimeters, so I could just draw it at 200, slightly smaller than that. Where do I want this to sit? And it should have a little bit of clearance to the bottom.
It doesn't have to have a lot. And we also want this to look fairly nice too. So let's do, what's a constraint for here and then to here. And we could say how much clearance do we want to this. Oh, technically, I'm wrong. My language. I have to upgrade my language. So this is always, I would like this always to be in the center and then slightly off a little bit. So don't want it to be lower than the bottom piece. Maybe I can just say, what's 3 look like? It's just slightly below the bottom for 200 mil. And if it was like, I don't know, 230 millimeters, what does that look like? So 230 is actually a little bit big, but it wouldn't fit in here anyway. So 200 mil doesn't look too bad. Maybe 2.75, just a little bit above 2.875. I'm just going in like a standard increment, so maybe that's the best there. Well, 3 is a really nice even number. Okay, let's go with 3. So now we have our spacing for the cuts that we want to do. And we're just going to do one side, distance to objects on the inside. And this should be, oh, see what I did there? I did it wrong again. You can't sit something in there. It has to be like at an angle. Right? It's got to have some sort of an angle. Not much. It doesn't need much. So maybe like 100 or something. That was a bad idea. It's not going to be 100. It's only going to be like 10 or 15. And then I'll show you this other little thing here too. I'm doing it in the wrong spot again. So we know that that is 3, right? We know we're going to have this sort of shape. Maybe look like that. And we have a line here, which is the center. We're going to make these symmetric based on that center, and we're going to tangent constrain and cut that short. And I don't know, 1.5, something like that. And the angle, maybe let's make that 10. And then this is going to be 1.065, something like that, just so it's a little bit bigger. And then this is going to capture all the rest of the things. Okay, so now that you have this this sort of shape, apologies. Let's go back, forward. There we go. We'll just leave it like that. Everything looks good. So there is, if I want another one, you can just pattern it over, which is great. So essentially that's what I'm going to do, except I am going to draw where I want it to go first. Excuse me. And between this one, the actual spacing, 3. And I want to copy all this over. So you can draw it. You can draw it twice, but there's no real reason to draw this, draw all this over twice when you can just pattern it. Oops, I'm sorry. I need to get the, so this is D122, and I'm going to pattern all of this stuff here. It's going to be in this direction, so see with the numbers that are moving. I only want one. And then the distance is negative D122, because that's where I want this to go, center to center. And it's going to be the spacing. So if I make more, or if I wanted more or something like that, then I can do that. Yeah. And that's like just as an instance to use with the other things. And that's based on this dimension here. So if I just move this over to 4 inches, it should go with the 4 inches. I think I used the wrong dimension. 122. Spacing, directions, negative D122. Oh, why is that not, that's not supposed to happen like that. Ooh, okay. That was weird. I experienced a small bug just for a second. Why that happened, I don't know. So 1.75, like you can see how this changes if at 1.5. All that changes in the second one here, and then it's the same. Now you can also pattern the feature afterwards. So you can also do that. Sometimes that is easier to do. So I'm also going to show you that. So just give me 1 second. So when I go to, and it's actually desirable as well. And the reason why it's desirable is so you don't have to, there's no selection there. So if you really wanted it, like the things to actually go down there, you would have to do the cut feature as well. So if there's more of those things, you're not patterning the thing that's in the sketch. You're patterning the thing that the sketch did, essentially. So we'll do that to objects. We'll show you how that looks. Right, turn off the sketches, and now we have a place for that tube to sit in, like the tube end, to sit in there, and it'll sit right in the bottom of the tube. And then when we mirror this, we'll have one in the center as well, so we can choose which spot we want the tube in. So let's go back. Delete. We're gonna go back. I'm gonna delete this thing here. We're gonna get rid of that. Actually, we're gonna keep the dimension. I said keep the dimension. But we're not gonna use the same pattern. So D122 is still the same. And then I'm gonna delete, or one side to objects here, and then now we're going to pattern that cut. So outside of this, we're going to have a little bit more control. So over the feature, it's going to be this. We're going to select the axis that it goes onto. So that's positive. Only want 3, and it's D122. Right? And what's nice about that is that I don't need to do another selection. If I make the spacing D122, right? So now there's 3 cuts in there, and then I can make this also a component, or a parameter, or a variable, and then base that on something else. So that's the Power Fusion right there. So the next idea would be, how do I do a pattern of these to maybe these things here? Is that even possible? Could I do that? Let's give it a shot. So we know that this drawing here has this one. So this one is 94. So D94. So D94. Now I have a pattern that I've done two things with, and I have this original one. So let's try these two features, the pattern and the thing. The axis I'm going to use as X, and the spacing is D negative D94. So negative D94. So it gets us pretty close. It looks the same. And I wanted to do 4 of these. No, it's not going to go. So let's try that again. So 2 features. We're going to say optimized. Axis is this. Negative D94. And I want that to be the spacing. Negative D94. Try that again. Optimized. Not going to go. Nope. But what I can do, so instead of doing so doing these, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we can delete this. Delete. Yep. Ooh. It's referenced by downstream. I don't see how it's referenced by anything. Oh, it's this one. It's referenced by that. Is it? It's not referenced by anything. Delete. Ooh. All right. So I have to redo the one. That's okay. So we're going to delete those. We still have this, which is good. I'm going to go back in time. We are going to two objects. So we're going to do that cut. We're going to go the cut one way. Nasty. Rectangular pattern, or so axis is missing. We can always just pick the standard ones. Object is this one. Spacing is D122, which is the same. That's going to be under adjust. I might have to change that to optimized. I can never remember how any of that stuff works. And then now I can do like this whole body, right? So I could just say body, I want to go up. The axis is going to be this, and it's going to be 4, and then D94, is that what we said? But the spacing, D94, D94, right? So we just did a few things out of order the first time. Sometimes you need to do that. I think having the foresight of that, depending on what you're doing, I guess, like if you're exploring all the different stuff, you might have to figure out if you all the stuff that you need to do, and then it's like, oh no, I'm gonna have multiples of this, I should do this, and like all the other things. So I didn't do that because, well, I didn't do it. Plain and simple, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. No other excuse, I suppose. So we're going to use the splitting tool for that. Read all these things here. Delete the extra if I can. These things here. remove. And now I have a bunch of these bodies, and I should be able to mirror all of this. So mirror all of these bodies over to the other side. So we're going to create mirror, select that center mirror plane. We're going to join everything that can be joined, and then it should create a couple other things that need to be created. But now I got these things here that have 3 areas on them. Right, should be able to go over that way. Now, this might actually be a good time to draw in like a couple of the lengths of material. And this is based on 1 or 2. Maybe we can have like a couple of them. These can all be offset to one side as well. So right now they're all in the middle. So the frame actually gets bigger on the bottom, but we can do this based on like we did this original sketch. So not based on the center line of this one. So that one's always going to be in the center. But if we didn't want to do it that way, or we wanted it like off to one side and then the back was straight. So this is more of a symmetrical design. So this back was straight and then the front was angled, but we wanted everything like all the spools on an angle, then we just make the sketch on the front here instead. But then it wouldn't be symmetrical, so a little bit different. Just thinking. Lots and lots of thinking. Okay, I'm just gonna mirror it right now and then draw the tubes in afterwards. So that this would be a good time to even edit. Join. There is a warning on this. What is it? Oh, could not join bodies. Yeah, it's because this one's here. Can't join these ones. Silly goose. You joined everything else. Review warning. Whatever. Looks good to me. Can I just... It's too bad you can't hit OK. Because this is more of like a... It's not even like a warning. It's just like, hey, we did this because of this other thing. But now it's stuck there. I guess it's okay. So if I was to create like 3 things for each one of these or whatever, you have the option to use it in the center or on the other 2 sides. Maybe we can do 2 at that, and then with the other one, something like that. Yeah. Make a decision. So we're going to mirror all these bodies into mirror plane. So it creates all these other ones. Like I was saying, if you don't really care, then this is, like, it's not that big a deal. Like if you don't need to print paper and like all the other stuff out, well, you could still do that with all the bodies. But if you want like individual part numbers and piece counts and stuff like that, I don't think the bodies will actually do that for you. You need to use components. In which case, like when you start doing all this stuff before you did like the copy from here to here, you would just create all those components and then do a mirror over. And then same thing was with these. All these are the same part number, so this would be one part. This would have its own individual components, right? So each one of these is different. You might want to start out with a master design that's square on the ends, and then all of those get cut down for each one of those at different lengths. So like if you had a machine that was just making these things and these copes, or you design the machine to do 3 different lengths or 4 different lengths. I don't know, it's up to you. Lots of different ways to do that stuff. Alright, so we got that. Let's draw in a few other things. I'm gonna go right from here. So just actually, where is the, let's draw it in the center, and then we can create out. So new sketch here. That's the center point that we want from the other one. Was it 1 inch or something? That's technically not correct. Whoa, where'd you go? So that's drawn in position. And then we're going to go, I keep canceling it. Should lift my friggin' hand up. 2 sides. This one. Each different direction here. Two, this one is the small one, right? This one, 2 objects. And then 0.125. And then this one is going to be to this object way over here. 2 object there and 0.125. So it's a 1/4 inch short total. So we moved it all the way to one side, it would still stay on there. That's the idea, and it usually will sit like that eventually. And then you can also, it should have enough clearance to tilt without falling off. Big chunk. And then just to kill 2 birds with the 1 stoner. This is gonna be an 0.036, something like that. 0.022. I know there's some pretty thin wall piping. Not the middle. Right. Okay. So we can have like 2 like this. We can show the uppers. Maybe the same thing, so 122 in each direction, and then we can go up again. That sort of idea. So these can actually be drawn even before we do these things here. So it's like a copy 1 over and then 1 up again. So if we move this, we should be able to do that. Oh no, it's referencing something after the 2 mirrors. My bad. Alright. So we can just do this again. No big deal. This time it's going to be a body. The axis is going to be this way. We're going to do symmetric. And D122. Looks good. And then we can do bodies again, or we could do features, which will be this one and this one. Features. Can't do both. Let's just do bodies. 2, 3. Axis is going to be straight up and down. We're going to do 4D94. So that's kind of like a, I don't know, nice easy way to do that. So say these ones, the top ones, they'll be like a wire spool, and then this one here, these two will be ones that you can just set the filament on. And yeah, that's kind of a way to do that. Oh, just gonna give my arms a stretch here. Having a little bit of fun with all this and going through some of the other things. So this is the basic way on how to do a rack. If you just want to body model everything, this is kind of, I would think, how most people would figure it out. And then I can show you how to do it with all components, where it's going to have its own part number, its properties, its own everything, right? And then all of these being based off the model. We could do it from a master model. We can do it from a skeleton model, which I did in the previous one of the previous projects. So in the lunchbox one, I used the skeleton model where I referenced everything from an external or from an assembly model. So in the assembly model, I drew out like a shape that I wanted everything to conform to, and then I built all the individual pieces individually inside the assembly model that conformed to that. So that they all had context references to the original model. So if you change the original model, all the other ones change as well, and then they have to resave and all that stuff. So that's more like how I like to model in Fusion, or in Inventor as well. That always made more sense to me, of the single source of truth, and not like this one is built off this one and everything else. Like everything comes from the top, and then you can choose like how it goes down in the bottom. But yeah, if you got a whole bunch of little things, there's like components within components within components within components, parts within parts within parts, and finally you get to the nuts and bolts and the sheet metal sort of idea. And they're individual things, but then all those little things are in their own assembly, and then those assemblies are make up of a bigger assembly, and then those big assemblies are like an entire landing gear or something in an airplane, or like a wing or something like that. So then that gets put onto the plane assembly or the fuselage assembly, and then for that assembly that goes into the like grader, like the whole airplane assembly has the outside, and then you have like the interior stuff, and then the wiring and hydraulic systems and electrical, all the other different things. So each context has its own, I like using the word context, maybe that's the wrong word. So it has its own context because it's only worried about the shape and everything that happens within the shape and on it or whatever else, and then that context can be put into another context. And in Fusion, that's really quite powerful because you could take one assembly file and just put it into another one, and that acts like a component in that giant piece. So pretty powerful stuff. Taking a mental break here for a second. Should probably take a stretch break and a few other things too. Yeah, it doesn't really look like a whole lot, and then what was the other thing we wanted to do? So we have like we wanted to do a pan on the bottom. So the pan could be, we could sit the whole thing inside a pan. So there's a couple, if we made a whole pan, the thing sits into, we have something to, so we could attach the casters to plates that are directly just on the two, right? And then on each corner, and then we sit the pan on top, on the inside. So that there's nothing wrong with that. Probably doesn't affect us in any way. Or we can do a pan that this whole thing sits in, that we just like it's kind of like the whole base, and then that gets welded into the pan, sits in the pan. And then same thing for the top, for the shelf. We could have one that just like sits in here on top. I'm probably going to do that right now. Let's do, because now we're getting into the point where we should have separate. I'm gonna actually take just a save point for this, and then we can go back and then do all the other ones based on like how I showed with the square section and like all those things. It's like to make up like a frame that looks like that. You're gonna start off with a major sketch, and then you're gonna bring in those things and joint them wherever you want. A lot of I think the last time I built a frame like this, I didn't do a center line one. I did it on the edge, because then I can rotate the pieces around on its length, and then that gave me the option to so I'll show you this really quick. So instead of in the center, I think I did it on, I think it was the left side over here, right? So this has its own let me see if I can move this. Go into the sketch. Move, please. It doesn't want to like select it and move it like it did before. So we're gonna do one to here. So we could do this way and this direction here, and that'll lock that into that corner. And then we could do offsets based on this here too, but it won't ever go to 0 if I use a dimension. And if I go to 0, sometimes it can go backwards the other direction using a parameter and a dimension. So if I use an offset, or I can do it in the center, like dimension an offset that way. Because then we can get setbacks and a few other things. So we can create the amount of controls that we want to use in these, as well as like the whole system. So rumor has it whoa. One by one. So unfortunately that doesn't give me the control, because this is it doesn't give me like a plus and a minus. So let's explore that really quickly. So delete that one. Oh. Okay. So if we wanted to be able to go here or here, or we could rotate it. That's totally fine too. So here, 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 or here. And I chose to go here because it was always on the outside, so I wanted the tubes inside for all my things, and then that would make sense. But I was always rotating rotating it, and I think that's probably okay. Specifically for the stuff I'm doing here. So, and if we wanted to have that control, how will we parameterize that? Right. So if this was whatever size this was, and then like divided by 2, but it's divided by 2 in that direction, and if I wanted to do it the other way, it would have to be negative. And I don't think that's how that works in Fusion, so it won't let me do anything. So what I have to do is I have to be on the other side. Create driven. Oh. Toggle driven, and then I can go this side, and then it's that one. So I don't think there is a like how do I set that up so that I could have this way or this way, this way or this way. So I would have to say, okay, it's like, is it positive in this direction or negative? Positive, negative, and I don't think there's any way that I can do that. I don't think I can define this location within Fusion itself. I know I can do it programmatically. I've done that before, pretty sure. Or I can just, not do any of that. So here, and there we go. So I'll just have the center line for that one. Save. And this one here. So this one here is going to have a length. If I don't actually put this onto anything, it's not going to do, it's like 10 or 12 or something like that. Pretty sure I have to specify how this is going into the other piece, and then I might be able to do so if it was 12 or 6 or something, however we want to do that. And I'm going to bring in this square section into here. And then this is going to here to here. And 2 objects. So this is what I was doing before. So now I have a piece that's has references, is externally referenced for the size of it, jointed in place, and then it's based on this outside piece, right? So sketch 1, save that. We'll just call that 1 by 1 by 0.625 0.625 steel. So this is external, that is solid square. This is saved, so I can come back to that. That's number 3. Right. So now we're going to be drawing the whole thing, but we can copy the whole thing over if we want to. So I'd say this is a subassembly, and then these are individual pieces. So we could just do the individual pieces for now. Bring that in. We're going to go to the end of this, right? And we're going to put it on this one. Flip that. And now we're going to choose which direction we want. Right? So this is, if this is the wrong direction, we can't get to where we want. So like that, for example, but like all the way up. So it's more like this. Or can we do a flip into the inside, because then that's totally outside. Right. Where we want that. Or is it going to be the top? So where do we choose to draw this frame in? So if it's the frame completely, this side is actually drawn wrong to facilitate all that stuff here. So if we do this here, we're going to go up a little bit and then over, up a little bit this way. We're going to change that angle just slightly because we want to do 1 inch, 1 inch here. I think it's 1 inch. Right. And that's just for reference, 15. So this is 2 by 2. Do we make that 2 by 2? Maybe I didn't change it. Section actually is 2 by 2. 1 by 1. This is going to be changed. Save. And come back. And that should change there. So now that's kind of like a standard piece that we have in here. So this, we might be able to, because this is an external version that we started off with, but we can make this internal if we're pretty happy with all that. But we can say on this sketch here, if we I gotta look into that configure, man. Something tells me that I can actually do that. So it's not like specifically with like, it's within this and it's on that sketch, right? But to do that, I have to say, okay, this is going to be 44 millimeters long, right? So how long is this actual thing? So if this is in here, this has no reference to this drawing. But if I break the link to this, just subcomponent only. So I don't want to break the link to this. This here, I should be able to show the sketch. So show the sketch. And now this, so this is D90. I should just be able to do that, right? And that's essentially how I did the other one, or I'm remembering how I did the other one. So I have this, and now I can make this. That's this thing. So if I was to, even if I create multiples of this, because I know they're all going to be the same, right? I'm going to turn off the sketches on this one because I no longer need it. But I do need this. Is it this one or the other way? No, that's right. I thought I did it on the other direction. Maybe I did that wrong in the beginning. So I like to have the X direction on here and not the Y direction, but I think I screwed that up. So where's the... I did, yeah. So it should be going in this other direction here. That's okay, I'll leave it for now. Not a huge deal. So I have this thing here that I can plant on right there. Right? There we go. And now there should be a, oh no, that's a, I grabbed the wrong section here. Can I do from here? Right there. Oh no, I'm looking at that wrong too. So this one's like that. This one, I think I'm looking at that correct, but maybe it's not going. So this one's on there. I can do this one here, but I can't do the other one. So I can do a mirror, like a straight up mirror. So if I do a mirror, I can choose the component. Oops. It creates a new component, and I'm pretty sure it's a new one as well, based on this one. And then it calls it a mirror. Right, so this one's in its position, and it's unfortunately not locked in. So it just like creates it, but then you can do a as-built joint. Not a huge fan of that. I'm more like, I like using the instances of this. It's just creating the so let's do edit. Actually, I need to do this other piece here. Underneath. So I'm not sure if I want to do it this way or not. Okay. Good enough. And I use these as center lines, but they, because that would be that would not actually be equal, because this is too long. When you do center to center on everything, or to find the centers, you actually have to use the centers of these as well. So to make this these dimensions correct, you have to do this. Right. And then also on the bottom. Midpoint. So now all of the things are the same if these are the same. So if these were thicker or thinner, like think like posts, like pickets or something, it just has to be the inside face. So if there's like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch or something, you just have this as a 1/4, right? 0.25, and then you have a center line that you use for that one, divided by 2. So it's basically a whole bunch of divided by 2's, and then you can get your correct center to center. So the distance between on the inside looks the same. I have designed thousands and thousands of handrails and pickets. I actually don't mind it. It's like if I started a business, that would be one of the businesses that would be easy to do for me. Just like all miscellaneous steel. Stairs, maybe. Stairs are okay, but they can be a real pain to install, depending on where they are. So if it's new construction, not too bad. You could usually get a grade all in or something like at the time that you need to. But if it's an existing building, you gotta like sometimes hand bomb or hand cart like like 300-400 pound pieces into position. That's not a whole lot of fun. And then welding on site and all that stuff, it has all its own issues. For existing construction, a lot of fire safety stuff, fire watch, or you have to get hot work permits. Usually, the municipality can be a pain in the ass. And so everybody wants their cut to do work. It's just crazy. Anyways, there's a digression. That's why I always work for somebody else. I'd rather just do this, although this is the fun part. So yeah, so we got all the lines there. Oh, I wanted to. Can I do a? If I create a point at the corner, so excuse me. Sometimes it's a little easier. It's a little easier to grab because something has been created in that plane, and sometimes it isn't. I can do a 0.125. You just make a body, or even better yet, a surface. Sometimes a surface will do it too. I don't think surfaces have they have no thickness, which means they have no weight. I think they're not treated like anything. They don't have a mass, as far as I know. So if we do a patch on this, it should give us a plane to do things on, but maybe not. So we'll just double check that with a joint. This is jointed correctly, right? I friggin' see anything sometimes. My brain. Forget, yeah. So sometimes that's a lot easier to. So now I know that it was giving me the XY plane, and this is the reason why I always like using the XY planes for stuff that's like straight on, or the X plane. Shit, how was that? I think it was the X plane. Freaking warhead stockpile. Or I could just be smart about it and put a joint origin in. You know? Derp. Should you turn off the sketch too afterwards? Leave the sketch on. Show the dimension too. Let's turn it off afterwards. So because I broke the link on this, I can't. I have to re-import them. Delete. Surfaces are seriously underrated too. Like for a lot of this sort of stuff, because of the context that they bring. Oh my. Wow. That is sweet looking. Serious audio gear. Holy crap. Buddy just sent me a thing. Sent me a video. Like networking for like a custom house. And then home theater. Everything's like in a rack. I like it. Oh my god. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was re-importing this stuff. So there is that goes there, And we could just move this into whatever position we want. It has a join origin now, so I can put it wherever. No. Ooh. U to U. Or I could actually just do it on the thing again, like I did before. Schmerp. And then tip it over that many. And then we can just do that again. And these are external links, so there's no copy. Like there's no amount of copy stuff. So if I was to break the link of this one, just the component, and then break the link of this one, just the component. So the external link is there. But if I change, like 22 or something, these are fundamentally different things, like in this, in the drawing. So you get this into its position, maybe without the plane. So let's, or without the extra body. So let's turn on that. So we can do here. Wow, look at that. It gave it to me like instantly. No muss, no fuss. Right? So the only thing we have to do is, this is not accessible until we break these. Until we break these links. And on top of that, these are technically not in the right position. So if we were to do like rigid whatever, like if I make them 44, it's not the correct length that this other one would be, because that's the outside dimension. So it's this one minus the thickness of these two. So if you want a fully dynamic, right, for the external references and all that stuff, these have to be the individual files. So unfortunately. So yeah, how does that get handled? Like if you're thinking about the behind workings or the inner workings of all the different things, or is everything individual? So then if you have some that are same, like if do they analyze the solid, or they have like a checksum or something that they use in behind? How does that to make it look the exact same? You add them all up. If it's the same, then it's the same. Yeah. So there's trade-offs to everything, I think. You can wait. You can import them all. You can do them like as time goes on. Like a break length here. Just the one. Break this one. Just this one here. And then now you can do like this one is equal to that minus 2 or something. And then that will give you the correct length, because it's like 1 by 1. Or you could just do it based on that other thing. So if you go into the parameters, so this 1 by 1 steel, right, you could say, okay, well, what is that thing? So that's that one. But what's the thing on the other one? So there's no offset in, like there's no thing in here that says that that's 2 inches besides this, but that's the one that I just did. So you would have to break the length. You would have to break the link of this one as well, and that would also give you, like inside this, then that would give you the parameters for that, unless I was just in the wrong thing.
So there's no parameters from the external. But if I break this, and I do that again, right? Square section V8, sketch 1. Now I have 1 by 1. So I could say D19, or whatever this is here, sketch a linear sketch dimension 3 from sketch 1. Or I could just turn it on. So turn this on here, turn that on. And then I actually have all these sketches here. So this is not -2. This would have to be minus, and then it's this dimension times 2. Right? So then that'll work. And it's only this one, so if this one has to be equal to this one. So if I change that to 2, it'll minus, or 3. You'll see this one change, and that's good parametric, like for that idea. So to get everything into position so that you can change the context of all this, it's a smart way to do that. Pretty sure that's how I was doing racks before. I had a whole like setup done. I was doing quite a lot of it. They were all stainless, so it's just like, how do I get it? And they all had drawings attached to everything. So individual piece drawings, individual data that I had to export because they wanted the individual piece files for their machine. So they just fed it all into the machine and just made everything. And then, yeah, it was like, I guess their software is pretty amazing for whatever they were doing. And then, like I was saying before, the only thing I really had to change, I had to get the radius, the outside radius dimension of the material that they were using so that it wouldn't crash into the machine or whatever. That's one step that they didn't have to redo. So what a weird movie. Oh, that was all in post. They're not showing a prop or anything. That's too bad. I like the cheesy props. There's another one in the barn. Spoken like a true Canadian there, eh? And then if this one is done, like a soul, I can just reference that one because I've already done the calculation. And that works great. 2. Yeah. Now, it would be good to do that one too. Or maybe not. Like it all kind of depends on, you know, if you want every single little thing to update, then yeah, you should probably do that. And then in which case you wouldn't have an externally referenced section, but maybe not. Because like if you replace that section with another one, then all that stuff updates, but like you would have to do it into this one, the 1 by 1 by 6. So realistically, that doesn't really make sense. This would make more sense if you were using this directly in this model here. So break link. And then probably want to get rid of this and then just use this particular one to go over. And you want to paste new all the time. Oh, actually no, this one's good. You would just do a paste because that will be the same.
I don't know that for sure. We'll just do paste new. I'm surprised there's not like a Control Shift V or something like that. Wouldn't that make more sense? So these. So then all these can be referenced to, like, 62 or whatever. Sorry, this one keeps going over because I haven't told it otherwise. That I want them here. Delete. Right, so D1. So 22, the other one should change as well. But this is an actual different file. It's not the same as this one here. That's right, so if we make this 20 or make this 3 or something, it's also going to be like that, but it has all the same stuff in it. Good enough. I probably went a little bit far with this section, but it's okay. There should be a joint origin in here too. This next one here. Joints, joint origin. If I turn this joint origin on, then it should be copied with that joint origin on. And I don't need this sketch on itself. Yay. And then, as you go along, if you don't care about any of that stuff, my bad. Paste new. I always go off a little bit. Here we go. Let's make sure you're selecting the actual joint origin. And then we have 1, 2, 3 on the outside. And then this, because this is referenced, you could even do this one here. Right? And then you can copy, paste new on this one. And just for funsies, because that one's like this one, you can kind of use your odd dares. So that one's not going to go. But on the 44, rental, that's actually in the wrong spot too. If we were doing all of the calculations by the self, I would have to do, where's the joints? So first one, used to be able to double click that. So this would be an inch in. And then I think same with this one. 1 inch. And however you wanna do this, if you just want ends, or if you want the whole length to be the same, this I think is gonna be better.
far as the output goes, because the ends are going to be similar. Here, I don't need this other one. Delete. Yep, these are in the middle. So technically speaking, I should be doing a before I do this one, I should be doing a separate component for that. So delete, yes. New component. It's internal. We'll just call it side assembly. And this has its own thing. So we need to move that into its right position before we do anything. And just use a joint. Same thing as before. Use anything that's available to you to make that make a sense. X direction always horizontal. As far as I'm concerned, that looks like a 90, I think. And then now we can make even the sketch should be all in this one component natively. But we didn't do it that. We might be able to move this in here, but it's not likely. So let's just get rid of all this stuff here. We have our two sketches. So what we can do, make our life a little easier. So we're just going to, oops, we're going to be in the right one. Turn that off. We're drawing actually on this plane. So this XY plane, not the other one. Then we can turn on that sketch, and we could project everything without a link to the bottom one. Maybe we could do 3 or set to the middle, 4, yeah, 5. Right, so everything is in its right spot. We just have to redo the dimensions if we want this like contained to itself, or if we don't care, you just keep the link, and now you have all of the things in this from the original sketch. So that's totally fine. I don't think you can break the link afterwards, so make that choice however you want to make it. And then in this assembly you can paste a new, right? So you're pasting a new thing in this assembly, so wherever that goes. That's move copy, right? It always does this to me for whatever reason. I cannot move it to save my life. Off these sketches, turn off these joints. So we're only just going to concentrate on this one for the time being. This has its own thing. Please just let me grab face. I know why. Okay, so there's a bottom there. These are center lines, and there's a top one. So we can joint to everything in here, however we want. And it's on the back side. So this is on the outside of our thing, right? So we can double check that. So where was our original sketch? Sketch, if I can actually see it. Why is this? Is my opacity control down? All these look dim for whatever reason. 100. All right. Usually they're all like this. So this one is going to be that number width, and this one is a part of that. So if I turn this one off, that should turn off too. Right. And let's plop that down here somewhere. So we should have a joint origin. Right there. We're going to do it on this side. Flip. And that looks like it's in the right area already. We're going to, not that one, this one. Paste new on the subassembly. This one is going to be, I want to know why all these are super dim. They weren't like that before. So go to sketches, edit sketch. We can do reference dimensions for all of these. In here, those are going to get cut because we can do that. Just like everything in Fusion. All these. I just leave them all. So we can turn off those sketches. We can turn on sketch for here. Should mention. So this should be there we go. There you go. And we're gonna make sure that is the joint origin. This is antagonizing me a little bit, but that's okay. We can do it at the bottom here, or we can do it at the top. If we wanted to do, if we want to make sure we had that on top here, we could just do there. Flip. Right. And we could have a I think we could have a prefix and stuff on these, right? Edits, or no, we can't, not on these ones. Properties. It's worth it to set up a lot of this stuff here. So like if you have like a description, you're copying that over, all that copies too. Item number. Nope. There might be more in if there was another thing. So we get 2, and then we can do paste another new one. So we're gonna go, I don't know, somewhere in the middle, just so that's where it is, so we can get to it. Turn off the sketch, but we are going to turn on the joint origins for this one. Same thing, do a, there we go, hover over, turn on the sketch again. So notice how we can do bottom up, top down, whatever we want. And then because it's oriented in this position, it should be clocked correctly, but sometimes that doesn't happen for whatever reason. I don't know.
This one looks pretty good. It looks like it's actually in position too. And this is the start, and this goes towards the end. So when we change this to this dimension, it should be all the way to the end there. Right. But now we see it's a little short. So we can add, it's a little long, little short for each one of these. No biggie. Just add on a little bit. Like, I don't know, 0.125 or something. Oh my. There we go. Did I forget the point? Yeah. Here we go. So then there should be more than enough for the cut when that happens. Something smells good. So sketch off. Main sketch is on. Sketch off. Joint origin off. This is probably good for cleanup. I think joint origins automatically turn off after turn that sketch off just briefly. So we kind of see what we have coming in here now. Like I was saying before, if you wanted to take this one and do a mirror, make sure you're in the correct thing. Mirror, components, mirror plane. Select this one. All of that stuff will be the same. So whatever you do to this one will happen to that one. So these ones should be linked. You have to, they're not locked into position, so you have to do a either have to fix it. So what a lot of people just do is just ground to the parent. So if you go and move this thing, move this whole thing, or copy it or do whatever. So if you copy this whole thing to here, which should be identical, so minus 44, and then we're going to rotate it around that point so that 44 is on the outside, right? So all these things should be like pretty much the same. Oh, I think I have to rigid group this. That was the idea. So in this thing here, I have to go back one, right? Then go into here, and now rigid group, all. Oh. Rigid group everything in this, include the subcomponents, yes. Right. And then when I go back and go forwards, everything should be, because it's an instance of the other one. Yeah. So it just, the thing just didn't update, that's all. So now I can put that wherever I want. Right. I just moved it over at that. So these are all rigidly, each one of these is in a location wherever they are. So it's like an as-built rigid joint for everything. Yeah, so that's another way to do that if you're kind of in a hurry. It works for the most part, but sometimes it'll break as time goes on. Right.
And we have the other two things, and we can make more of those. I based it upon where the things are, right? And that's based on the external sketch. So that would be this one, I think. That's up, or I can use the other one that I just created in here. Probably the other one would be better because these are like a top level sort of idea and not the side assembly stuff. So I'm just gonna get rid of that for now. Keep this, not yet. Delete that. Oh, yeah, I did that there. Let's unground. And we could do like a rigid assembly to one of these as well. However that works. And now, because each one of these is an individual thing, we have all the individual controls for each one of these. So like on the ends, unfortunately this is all manual, but you can do things like if you want to do like an end cap or something like that, probably not so bad, I guess. So this has this is its own body in here, so we could do negative 0.0625, right? Send it here, and then we can just extrude this negative 0.0625, but create a new component. Just call it like end cap or something, right? End cap for that. Now this one we can copy everywhere, like whatever we want. So unfortunately this isn't also knocked like tacked down, but if we want to, because we're in this particular thing, we can just move this over to here. That's going to be in the right spot. Before we do all that, we can even shorten up the other side too at negative 0.065. You can do the ends here as well, but it just reverts to the extrude anyways, so that's pretty much what I was thinking. Oh, I did it too much. 0.0. No, it's 0.065, isn't it? And then here, probably should lock that down. So let's just delete that. This is in the right spot. For the end cap, we can turn off this section. So end cap 1, we're just going to copy that. It's going to be the exact copy. Just copy this all the way to here. Easiest way to do that, just redo this, check mark, move this a little tiny bit, and then select something on there. When you hit OK, this is in its position now, like kind of locked in until you, and if you rigid group this, you could still move it around if you want to, but Fusion knows that that is supposed to be where it is. And if you rigid group this and you rigid group all the subcomponents, then they're all going to be where they're supposed to be. So you don't really have to worry about this moving around as long as you do that rigid group at the end. That sort of thing. So we can go to the next thing. I'm just going to show you guys this, and then I'm going to take off this. I'm just going to do this outer frame. I should actually say that once you have all these things done, instead of doing the thing at the top, right, like I did before. So this is what I was saying. It's like sometimes you got to think about all the extra stuff that you're gonna do, and you might do this by accident. Anyways, like you did all this stuff here, but it's an individual like thing, so you can just delete that. Right? There's no harm in doing some of this stuff over again if it's simple. So because you have end caps in this one now, you can copy this one. It has the end caps already in its position, and if you change sorry, I'm in the wrong thing. And I didn't paste new. So you paste a new version of that. Right. It has like end cap 1, but these are also new. So like you have to, you say, it's like, okay, where's my end cap now? Should that be an external component because now it's all the same? And when it's externally referenced, they're all external. They're referencing all of the same thing externally. So when you put that on the drawing, it's gonna say, okay, oh, I have so many instances of this one thing. It's not NCAP 1, MCAP 11, NCAP 112, like that sort of idea. So this is what I'm saying. Like you have to think, oh, maybe I should have created a component and then put it on the end like I wanted to, or just like you create a component, you bring it in, you tack it into place, and you kind of go from there. Because if you create a new thing like this, you create the new one, but also you're creating new ones of everything else that's in there, and that's just a big pain in the ass. So there's a trade-off to kind of everything there. So you go forward a little bit, and then you go backwards, redo it, go forwards a little bit, and go backwards a little bit, go forwards a little bit, backwards. Or you could just sit down and you're like, okay, what am I going to have on the ends here? And you like literally draw everything apart and say, okay, how do I want Fusion to count everything? I want Fusion to count everything. What do we do in order to get that to work correctly? And I had to learn all these lessons the hard way because nobody was really teaching me how to do any of this stuff. I knew it from other programs, but it's like, how does this one work? So it's like, okay, let's draw it all out and see what happens. So you go through the pain of doing that, and let me tell you, that was a lot of pain. It makes the job twice the amount of effort. You get into the drawings phase, and at the time that I was doing that, Fusion was not great at drawings. Like it was way worse than it is right now. So you go back, it's like, okay, well, it didn't have half the features. I couldn't even change. I'm still dumbfounded that I can't change the units on the drawing. Like, just change like all the fundamental underlining stuff. You can now, but you couldn't before. I can't change the standard afterwards. I can't change the paper size afterwards. The title blocks are a pain in the ass to work with. Like, these are really big. These are big no-nos. Like, as far as I'm concerned, make it easy, make it painless, make it simple. You know. But it's not the tools we have to work with, and that's not the investment that they made. So we're unfortunate. We're kind of stuck with it until they really want to do something really nice, you know. And some of the other CAD packages are really good at doing that stuff. But you know, once you get used to it and you get going, it's honestly not all that bad. So yeah, so like going back to like this thing here, now we want to copy this thing here, but now this has when I copy this whole thing up here and then copy it again, I want this to be the same part, and I want this part to be the same as the other one. So that one is not a paste new. That's actually just a paste, and then this one would paste new, and then that one would be a paste. This is paste new, and then that one's a paste. So then everything is done correctly. So how do I do this? How do I do this thing here? So I have this drawing, or this thing. I have an end cap. I'm going to delete the one. Actually delete. And then now I have to externally reference. So export. Not the computer, just to here. We could say end cap. Right? And then this can be referenced off of this thing maybe, or somewhere else. So these are things that are now not there's no drawing for this, right, for this thing to be referenced off of, right? So there's nothing here. There's no reference. Yeah, that makes it really hard. Well, you could do reference, draw the one, uh, as a component in the parent, then reference like, because I can reference things that are further back in the timeline that aren't available. Let's think about that. So if I was to draw this end cap in the main wire rack at one point and then remove it, so it's like a main component sort of idea, I can always like go back, copy, and then paste it maybe. Right, and then this is the sketch that's the original, which is not going anywhere. So sketches, not this one. Is this one here? Right, and then I want this as a new component. So this drops into here at this point, and then I could say I want to reference this exactly in this member in that position, and then remove this because after in the timeline, right? So that no longer exists, but the original reference is there. Right, and it's based on the one sketch on this one. So paste new. Let's see if it does a new one. Where are you? So component 33 is component 29, and that still needs to be externally referenced because these are two different things, right? And I know that by, if I change one, it would change the other. So I should say like that. I would have a giant chunk on the other one if that was exactly the same. So maybe that would be like a static component or something like that. I'm not really too sure what we would call that, static referencing, but then we could just do it externally. So I'm really intrigued to see if I can do that with this thing here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export this because that has, I'm sorry, let's do a new thing. We're gonna reference this section into there. We're gonna 0.065. Let's do that. We'll save this as end cap. Easy peasy, right? Delete, delete, delete. 2. We're gonna bring. Oh, which end cap was it? 7. It's the later one. Delete this one. Yep. Big on. We're gonna bring this one in, but now we have to move this in place. And I'm just gonna use that. boredom edge. Whoa. Flip. And 180. Just like that. And then same with the other side. This is kind of like a standard parts sort of idea. And that's back upside down. Right on. So that's referenced by the same thing. It's doing its thing, and now we can copy this whole piece up to here or something like that. And now when we copied that, I'm sorry, did that wrong. Paste new. And we should be doing, you know, like whatever. We could have different part numbers, something like that. Because these are technically all 3. And it's all of the version 4 here. That's the mirror. I could call it something else there. And it's nice that it's still counting, like 5, 6, 7, whatever we got. So in this one, from there, we're going to turn this on. We have something that we can, that we can go to, turn on the sketch. This is going to be equal to that. So, which is kind of cool, right? And it has a joint origin that we can use. Oh, so tough joint origin. U to here. Bloop. Just like so. And now that is the same end cap instance as this one. Where was that? This one here. Exactly the same. So 1, 2, and then this should be like 3, 4 or something like that. 1, 2. So if we were to turn these off for shitties and gigglies, it's 10. Hey, what's going on, dude? How you doing? If we want to make a drawing just of that, so of these things here, this is sketch. That's the end. Okay, looks decent. I think those are the main joints in here. We could turn all that off. Turn the main thing off here. I'm gonna save it, and then we're just gonna check to see if our it's a filament rack. So maybe. I'm gonna keep adding to this too. I want to put like a dryer system in the bottom of it and a few other things. That was like something that I wanted to maybe do during this week for content. Something like that. Or maybe in addition to, like, work on this for a couple hours and then go onto something else. I don't know. I'll go from there. So we're going to test out this. We're going to make a drawing from design. And we're going to select just these parts. That's all okay. So hopefully they come in in position. I don't know if they will or not. I've had weird things happen before. So. Oh, is there no sheet at all? Fusion, don't change. Oh, okay. Is it just shit in memory? Okay. So we're gonna do left side. Should have done the right side first, but that's okay. So we have this. When we bring in the table, I want all parts, all level parts lists here. Should be which one is this thing here? So 3 3 3 4 3 2 3 1, and then 3, right? Is the same thing here, but on the ends, the end cap, right? So if we did the end caps, the end cap should all be the exact same. So it's 3 4 3 4 2 3 4 2 and 3 1 2 3 1 2. So they're technically not the same number, and they should be the same number, right? But because they're in a subassembly, they're not the same, even if they are the exact same part. So end cap is 2, and then end cap is 2. That's actually pretty bad that is the way it is. It should all be the same part number. So why is it not the same part number? It's because it's in 2 different assemblies. So when I'm thinking about doing all the stuff, it can't be in a subassembly and then have the major assembly one think that it's like that, because so just look at the overview and the context of what is happening in Fusion. So I have my one context, my one assembly has this. Even if it is externally referenced, like if it was like a standard part or something like that, it should have the exact same part number. Now if I did put that as a part number, because these are just reference numbers, right? How do we understand that in the context of this large thing? So this is, if we have the part name or part number, because that's what this thing is, end cap is the part number for that. These things are so silly. Can I even select more of them at once? Oh, I can. Great. So end cap is the part number. This should not be. It should be like, 140645, and then you like 140645 or something like that, and then you'll actually see this 2 things, and then the description of that would be different. So the part number, for these things, and you have to change these things manually. So in here, or if I go back to the end cap, because this is all externally referenced. So what is this actual thing here? So properties, part number. So the end cap is 1 by 1 by 0.0625 end cap. So we can say 0.025. I think that's what those were. End cap. R. End cap, and what I say, 160435 or something, right? That should all have that same reference. Steel, the appearance, the weights, everything else. So when I save this, starting to slur my words here a little bit. Some water. Water. I update all this here and then save this as well. Save this as well. Right? And then I can go into my drawing and then update all that. And then add the description or the part name. Right? So usually it's just the part number and the description. You could call it either one. Part number works better. Now you have that. So, 16435 is this. There's 2 of them. And then, hey, look down here. It's the exact same. So we know that it's the same part number, but it's got 2 things on it. And these are referenced because they're in the different assemblies.
So if I did just first level, then it only gives me the overview, right? And then this is how I generally do the drawings because it makes more sense to me, right? So I have this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or wherever this is, 2. Make it a little bit easier. Oh, also the mark number in structural and miscellaneous steel, the shops, mark number matters where you put it. So like wherever you sit that on the drawing, you call an arrow, they're gonna put it on the side. They're gonna put it on the side of that member because that's where you told them to put it. Or it'll be in the view. So other shops are in the view, and the arrow, if you point to the side, it goes to the side. If you point to the face, it points to the face. But then it has to have a dot. So like depends on who you're working for. Part number. So this is just what this is. And then you can make on the part drawing. So there could be like another assembly drawing. We'll put this in here, base drawing. Don't die. Oh. Oh, I can't put a thing on here? Base view. This is going to be left side again. What was it, 1 to 10 or something? And I say take off the side assembly, and then I only want the top, this top piece. Oh, jeez. Okay, so I only want this top piece, and I generally don't do it this way. I would produce its own drawing, but you can, there's no harm in doing this. Show the tangents, not show the tangents, doesn't really matter that much. Right, so when you put this one in here, the only thing that's shown is fusion is gonna die. 2, 3. Okay, so I have a square section, which is what the thing was in the other one. Let's do part name or part number description again. Quantity, mass, maybe. That's not right. Part number description. Right, so 3x3 square, or I have this, and now there's 2 of them in this one, and then I can go to wherever that drawing is, essentially, and then the drawing itself would have just that one piece on it. So if I went even further, actually delete this, delete duplicate, and then I could say in this assembly I only want one end cap shown, one end cap, and no body, and I wanted maybe a front view, something, front view, yeah. So you could detail like this. There's nothing stopping from doing it, and but it's all within the one drawing file. So if that's how you want to have it, that's maybe not such a bad way to do everything. And then this parts list would be different because it only has the one part in it, right? So you don't need that stuff on there. You could do the description, maybe the part name, like what to call it, and the mass. So square section. That's not correct. Just the end cap. Yeah, that doesn't work right. Because you have to have this, but it's not going to show you just the one thing. So first level, it's only going to show you the square section, which is this thing here, the part number, all level, and it should just be end cap, right? So which means you have to produce the part drawing by itself. So at least we know, delete, we know that you can do assembly, subassembly, kind of in one shot, although the subassembly is just as easy to do in its own drawing too. But in the overview, you have all this stuff here, and if you want to do the entire thing, you just all level, and then now you have basically like a material parts list. Now if you put the material sizes in here, so the difference between material list and a bill of materials, so the bill of materials is actually what the material is. So if it's like 1 by 1 by like this, it each has its own kind of its own column, stuff like that. So yeah, like what is the what is this? This is like do we need a sheet? How much of it do we need or whatever? You know, so if it's a piece of laser cut, like how big is that piece? How are you going to go order it? What's the part number for purchase product? What's the material made out of? So all these things need to be filled out. So a lot of CAD work is just like a giant database, if you want to think about it like that. I didn't learn that until after I was in architecture, and like, I don't want to do this. So yeah, and a lot of it's like back and forth, like, did somebody miss like doing this field? Okay, we got to go back and do that again and keep moving forward, and stuff like that. So as you're going along, for each piece that you're doing, you should probably finish all those individual things. So down the road, when all this stuff gets compiled or put in the drawing, then all that information shows up correctly. Because at the end of the day, CAD is to interrogate the model, which it means like put in your engineering numbers and tests and loads and stuff like that. See if it's correct. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is just creating drawings and how to build it. So how do I build this piece? And as the same as the drawings. So if a human is making it, then they need a way to convey the information or the data for a machine to make it. And then usually both. So, and I do both. Most shops will want both, because the human is checking the machine, even though the machine generally doesn't need to be checked, but I need to be checked. So that's the reason for the most part. Yeah, anyways, so get rid of that. I'm gonna go and have some dinner or something like that. So we did figure out how to do that correctly. And then where's this mirror? We need to do, even before this mirror happens, we should be able to trim these. Triminy. So this is before all of that. All of that happens for this specific one. And we should be able to create a thing on here at the node distance. And turn this bad boy off. We're going to create one on top here too. Oh, we don't have that one yet. So let's do sometimes this is a better way to do things, because this is based right off the sketch. 90. We can do replace face. No, this one. To that one. And that'll cut it for us, or trim it. Reform the ends. The same ones for this one. So U to U. And I went over that earlier today. So then when we go forward in the timeline, so all this stuff no longer really matters. We can get rid of some of that and go forward. We can see that the second one after we where is this here? 0.0625. Yep, it's fine. We can turn off the construction Construcciones. And this one as well. Let's draft that sketch. And the mirror. So depending on where this cut was, are the two replace faces. So see, these two here are after this. We could slide that bad boy after that. Then that's all good. I don't know the reason why. I must have selected something wrong. So when we do a mirror, these cuts are in that mirror already. We don't have to select them, do those again. So turn off that construction there. 2, 3. That's a mirror of the other one. And the last one's at the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, did I copy this by accident? I think I did. Yeah, that was probably when I was copying this up here. So that's more of like an actual thing, you know. Users. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there for today. My voice is getting a little bit. My throat's getting a little bit sore from talking too much. I need some. What's that called? Entertainer's Secret, I think. It's like a medicated throat spray. Yeah, I actually kind of feel like I'm getting sick. I slept extra long today to do that. No, I can't have tea. It's got too many oxalates in it. Hot water though. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate that. And